Welcome to the Write Your Own Story podcast. I'm your host, Betsy Leonidas, and the founder of the Write Your Own Story company. Girl, I can tell you right now, you are definitely enough. Here we value service, sisterhood, connection, laughter, and that super genuine, keep it real, tell you like it is honesty. My hope is at the end of each episode, you realize you can do whatever it is you dream about and that you are not alone with what you struggle with. I'm hoping that you are snapping and clapping and hell yes in your way through each one of these episodes. So if this tracks with you, let's get started. I'm so glad you're here. All right, everyone. Welcome back to the latest episode of the Write Your Own Story podcast. I am your host, Betsy Leonidas, and I'm so pumped to be here with Tarita Preston.
Hi.
Hi. Thank you for coming. We literally met 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, for sure.
But I am so excited because Tarita is a professional life and leadership coach. I have done all the digging to prep for this episode, and your energy is everything. A dear friend of my tennis bestie, Abby Allen, introduced us, and she was the one who was like, you need to have her on the show. And as soon as I dove into your socials, I was like, yes, this is everything. So thank you for coming.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Yes. So as listeners know, I love to set up every episode with an intention, just to kind of ground those listening, to kind of, center hearts and minds, and for us having the conversation to keep us honest. So one of the things that I love that you talk about is this notion of 5%. And I'm going to do like a little cliffhanger here, but I'm just going to say that really our intention is around discovering the magic of 5%. And we will get into what that means in the episode, but just to like set the stage, I was telling Adeline, my 11-year-old, about it on the way to school today. She was like, who are you interviewing? What's it about? And I was explaining how you explain 5%. And she literally was hopping out of the cars at middle school while I was like trying to embarrass her, of course, but she was like, I'm going to think about that all day. Like, she loved it. So I'm really excited for everyone to hear about this. I think it's really, really cool as it applies to both life and profession. So thank you. Okay. Can you kick us off with a little bit of a bio? Tell us about yourself.
My name is Tarita Preston. I work as a professional life and leadership coach. I have been coaching leaders for the past 8 years. I'm originally from Chicago and I like tennis.
Yes. I've heavily recruited you to my tennis team.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm serious. I'm going to be relentless about this. I'm like a dog on a bone. Abby will love it. She'll die if I tell her.
I got to get into it.
Yes.
I haven't been to that place yet.
Okay. Well, come hang out with me and Abby and we'll hit, and I don't know what we'll do, but it'll be really fun. Okay. She's on our team, everyone. Everyone heard it here. But
You're
this is
fun.
I am a wild ride. That is for sure. I can just ask anyone. But I think, one of the reasons that I was so curious to talk to you was that you have made the shift, like many of us who have come on this show, from corporate to your own journey. Can you talk a little bit about your corporate experience and sort of like what got you into coaching?
So I used to be an HR business partner for one of the best companies for leadership at the time.
Yeah.
And they moved me all around the U.S. I started in Louisville. I went to Warren, Ohio. I did union negotiations. I was working as an HR manager for a factory. I had bomb threats, tire slashings, all those things. Worked at corporate headquarters, then eventually moved to Cincinnati. Mm-hmm. And what I started discovering was that I worked for one of the best companies for leadership, and I had no inner leadership.
Ooh, can you define inner leadership a little bit more?
Your own inner authority. What's the boundaries that you have for yourself, and really who runs you? And I think when you're in corporate, you kind of have corporate programming. It's a lot of fear and a lot of fear of what's going to happen. What are people thinking? Spending a lot of time looking good, avoiding looking bad, wanting to prove it, wanting to earn it. It's just like, they just hired me for the job. Why am I still proving it? I just got it. Exactly.
Wow.
So that was a really big wake-up call. And I ended up getting into coaching because someone coached me on a very challenging subject at the time for me. Yeah. And it completely changed my perspective. Yeah. And honestly, my life would be very different had I not become a coach. And I can stand here today and tell you one of my relatives would be dead had I not had coaching. God. So in many ways, coaching transformed me and it changed my life.
And is it something like, so when this feels like one of the common themes on the show that has just come out naturally from talking to all these amazing women on the couch is these pivotal moments in life, right? Where it sounds like you had something very challenging where you reached out to a coach and then they put you on this trajectory that ended up being this huge pivot for you and obviously having this like massive effect, right? Saving someone's life in your family. Is this one of those ones where you made the pivot happen, or you just kind of rode the wave and found yourself sort of like naturally progressing in this way to where it was like, it was almost undeniable that you were now going to be a coach? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it might have been a little bit of both.
Cool.
Because so in my career, I've laid off over 500 people.
That's gotta be so hard.
It was. And
Yeah.
the job I had when I was doing that, I would crawl under the desk and cry every day. I was depressed for probably 8 months. I had no idea. God. So then I got a new job and it was completely different.
Still within the same
organization.
Okay.
I'm hiring a ton of people. And then a year later, I was having to lay them off.
Oh God.
And it's like average age 55, making the most money they've ever made, 55K. I've just relocated them here.
Yeah.
And now I'm telling them I have to fire them. So I was having PTSD.
100%.
On top of that, I was in a relationship that I started seeing I was in the relationship based on my insecurities. Because I had a heavy dose of princess programming. You know, it's easier if a man comes and saves you and they're going to take care of all your problems and you don't have to worry about that. So that's back to the whole inner leadership thing. I was so ready to give my power away to people and for safety, quote unquote.
Yep. And to be defined as in the boxes that you've been told.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I mean, the box was nice. I was traveling to Europe every month. Like I would have someone who was going to take care of me. But then it's like, do you not think you can take care of yourself? What's that about?
Yeah.
Right. And so once, and I remember on the phone with a coach and she just really challenged me.
Yeah.
And it was just, I felt misunderstood. And it's like, well, where are you misunderstanding yourself?
I'm so like, you just answered my question. You're good at this. When you had mentioned that you didn't have inner leadership as it related to work, I was curious to wonder if that applied to personal life as well. And if they were interrelated, and it sounds like they very much were.
Yeah.
And it's like, who knows, chicken or the egg, right? But it is truly like undoing societal shoulds, which like this show is all about, putting down the societal shoulds and picking up the pen and writing your own chapters, your own rules. Like you get to be the author of your life. But it is, I mean, when you've been programmed away your entire life or your entire, adult career, it is really hard to undo or to challenge even those boundaries or those boxes. And it sounds like, do you think your coach was really the catalyst for challenging those boundaries?
I think she definitely was. I think, she was a catalyst and you also have to be open to it. So Is it hard? Yeah, it's also new. So sometimes I think we kind of conflate the two. Like,
yes,
it's a brand new experience. And to your point, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yep.
So I think that your purse looks like your wallet, looks like your trunk because it has you in it. So if you're a person who lacks self-trust, you're going to do that at work and you're going to do that at home.
Dang. I was like, my purse, my wallet, my trunk are all organized. And then you were like, as a person, I was like, I don't know what that means about me as a person. I'm going to think about that all day. I love that. I love that so much. You had said that in one of your presentations that I had watched online. And I literally wrote that down. I thought that was pretty profound. I loved that. It's true though. How you show up from the inside out truly applies to absolutely every aspect of your life.
Right. How do you feel about you?
Yeah.
What do you tell yourself?
Yeah. Oh my God. Everyone listening right now just did a because they're like, damn, I didn't want to think about that today, but it's so important that I do.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. So you are, on this amazing trajectory at work, obviously very challenging. You have this transformational experience. What actually made you take the leap, or how did you take the leap? For those who are standing on the corporate edge right now,
what do you do? Right.
What do you do?
My job became untenable because I was laying off more people. And it's like, I can't continue to do this anymore.
And don't you feel like once you have uncovered this notion about yourself, like any sort of major aha internal insight turns in, like I make the analogy, it's like you went from seeing black and white to now you see in color and you can't unsee it.
You can't unsee it.
And so like now you're feeling so disconnected from your truth that you're like, it is untenable.
And I had that, but I also had support because I think coaching is a profession that's really easy entry, but a lot of people can call themselves coaches.
100%.
Doesn't mean you're actually good at coaching. And it doesn't mean you're going to be profitable at it.
Yes.
Like you can learn the skill of coaching, but the business of coaching is something totally different.
Yep.
So for that first year, I had no idea of the business of coaching.
Yeah.
So I actually left my job. I still had a little bit of a nest egg, and I was still in a relationship that was going to support me.
Yeah.
But that first year, I made $20,000.
Right?
Like no money.
No money.
No money.
Same. My first year of coaching. No money.
No money. But I was also really clear that if this didn't work, I could go find another job. My dream job was really going to be working at Trader Joe's. It's just everyone there seems so happy.
They do seem so
happy. And I was like, you know what? If this doesn't, I'm going to bet on me. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, I got 2 master's degrees and 2 international experiences. I can figure this shit out.
Right. I'll be just fine.
Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll be fine.
Which goes back to like this whole notion of like, how do you feel about yourself? Like that shows how much you trust yourself. And it isn't just defined by, I mean, yes, your credentials absolutely make you able to go get another job if for some reason coaching doesn't work out. But like, it's you knowing yourself well enough to, like you're saying in your relationship, you're like, actually, I can take care of myself.
Yeah. And I was hungry.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't want to be here anymore.
Yeah.
So for me to go to someplace else, I need to actually know how to support myself.
Yeah. Right. But it does. I think, for all the entrepreneurs out there listening, it takes an average of 2 to 5 years to really become profitable. So that nest egg is important, or whether you're doing halftime for something or building something in the background, or you are in a supportive relationship and you can make the jump. But I think so many people, based on what they see on social, is like, no, you're profitable straight away. I wish that was the truth.
It is such a lie.
It's a lie.
I'm on the faculty of a coaching school, and they're like, oh yeah, it's social media. I'm like, what made you think building a coaching practice was going to be easy?
Right.
Social media. They're lying to you.
Literally lying. You don't make a couple of reels and all of a sudden have a coaching business.
Right. No.
You don't even make 365 reels for one a day for a year, and you still don't have a coach.
No.
Not a profitable one. Not yet.
Absolutely not.
Not yet. Absolutely not. It makes me so happy to say, it makes me sad because people's faces definitely get a little sad in my one-on-one coaching when I share that with them, but it's the truth and people should know the truth.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for supporting me on that. Cause I was like, no, seriously though, you don't make money for a start. What do you love about coaching?
Seeing transformation. I'm very good at transforming people or helping them create better opportunities, more choices, seeing possibility. I love that.
Yeah, totally.
And being different. So I just love it. I think you can be whoever you want to be as long as you commit to it.
100%. God, I read something around like the definition. Resilience. And that resilience has such a positive connotation, right? Which it is. It's a wonderful thing to be, but the way that you become resilient is often through hardship. Yeah. And so like when you're truly being resilient, it is in like often the darkest times. And I feel like commitment is sort of similar in that way, where it sounds like this amazing word, but commitment is one of the hardest things you can do, and commitment to your own things versus serving everyone else all the time. Yes. But I think you're so right. Like once you unlock that potential in people, then the commitment is inspired. But man, don't you find that sometimes the commitment to yourself is one of the hardest parts?
Well, I think sometimes commitment feels like consistency and discipline. It's like, commitment can be me meeting myself where I am. Ooh. And not judging myself or making myself wrong.
I needed to hear that in my workout routine. Seriously.
Because your body's changing.
100%.
And our bodies are different every day. My workouts aren't going to be the same every day.
No.
Right? And other things are occurring in my life. My energy is not the same. So can I be lovingly gentle to myself no matter what's occurring? Yes. Commitment doesn't have to be hard or intense.
Or perfect.
Yes.
Think about our relationships. They're certainly not perfect.
No.
Because we're humans.
Yeah.
I love this. Okay. Who is your ideal client?
People who are interested in doing the work. Yeah. I think that's just my requirement, 100%. That you're open, that you're curious, that you want to do something different.
And that you're committed to that. Do you coach people primarily in professional or also in personal?
Oh, both.
Yeah.
Both. Because I find, what's really interesting? Work can sometimes be a play of family relationships. So if you have dad stuff, and you probably, it's like, I find it so interesting. A lot of my clients work in male dominated environments. It's like, okay, so tell me about your dad. Tell me about your dad. Like, what's going on there.
Yes.
And me personally, I recreated one of my parents as my boss 3 times. And so for people who don't know what that means, it's around certain personality types, people who were very big, maybe very assertive or aggressive. I tended to react the same way. Especially at work, I would go into pleasing them. I would worry if I was disappointing them. What did they need? It's like at any point that I am treating someone like they're my parent, I reverted back to my own inner child in the workplace.
And it, like now that you can see it, you can't unsee it.
Yes, you can. It's like, oh, wait a minute. This has nothing to do with him. This is everything to do with me.
When I first started my coaching business and I wasn't profitable right away, that made me feel so unworthy. And I often feel like being an entrepreneur is a spiritual assignment.
I think so too.
Yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah. And so like I've done all this great work. I was confident, but there's because I mean, I've had this amazing corporate career. I've been an entrepreneur like 3 times over, like started nonprofits. Like I know I can, to your point, like you've got all these degrees, you've had international, we know we can do it. But it's like, what's going on the inside that's getting in the way?
Exactly.
And so I had to do this amazing work around worthiness versus self-confidence. And those are 2 very different things. Who knew? But now I know. Breaking news. But seriously, I was like, no, I'm confident, therefore I'm worthy. But then when I really like started to doubt myself over and over, I was like, where's this coming from? But yes, long story short, most certainly someone who's willing to do the work.
Right.
And that is wild that you recreated your parenting scenarios in 3 different bosses. But like, I bet you everyone just did another like, oh, because they can now identify in their own world what they've done as well.
Totally. And it was the toughest jobs. It was like, why? Oh, I keep getting rewarded for this. Oh, because I'm totally okay with anger.
Right.
And
other people feels like home.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And I think to your worthiness piece, a lot of our worth and our value is sort of on a dimmer switch outside of us. So if the things that we define ourselves by, like work, if work is going well, we feel great about ourselves. And if work is going poorly, we feel bad about ourselves.
100%. Right. And I love that notion of it's on a dimmer switch outside of us. Like, how are people receiving me? What accolades am I getting? Oh, that's so good.
Right.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, all the work is on the inside. This is amazing.
It's the new frontier.
It is
really.
the new, right.
It really is.
It is the Wild West in here.
Seriously. Right. Which is like, I don't know. That's why I never work with people until I talk to them a few times because I don't know what's going on in there.
Right.
I want to know. And what I'm learning, even personally and professionally, is it doesn't matter what someone looks like. It gives you no indication of who they are on the inside.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny. Actually, this isn't funny. When I had, my daughter was a very sick kid and was in the NICU when she was born, like truly in like life or death scenario. She's alive, well, as healthy as it gets. She's a miracle. She's a beast. Such a happy ending. But while her dad and I were sleeping in the NICU, living there for like 6 weeks, my friends would always joke. They're like, in every picture we'd send to them, they're like, why are you look so put together? I was like, it is the only strand of control that I have when my world is completely falling apart. And like, so like now, anytime I take my kids to the doctor, like I want the best attention for them. So I dress like I've got my shit together, which I never do, for the record. Like I'm just always flying by the seat of my pants. But like, it makes me think when you're like, just because someone looks like they have it together, it almost is like, that almost to me now is like a red flag.
Yeah, right. Soundtrack doesn't match the movie.
No, it's like I say, whenever I play someone in tennis and they have their hair down, I'm like, I'm cooked.
I can see that.
Right?
I can see
and
that.
if they have a knee brace, I honest to God should forfeit because they're going to smoke me. You think you've got them in the bag, but there's something about their ninja moves.
That is so funny.
See, I told you I'd take us on a tangent or two. Okay. So what makes coaching hard?
The person I need to be in order to be a coach, because I can't take my clients further than I've gone. So if I've never worked with my fear, if I've never been uncomfortable, if I've never had to do really hard things or have uncomfortable situations, my clients won't either. And then it'll get messy because sometimes especially as practitioners, you can project on people. You may not have inner resourcefulness to deal with the conversation. So you really have to push yourself and you have to live what you teach. So if I'm telling my client to go high, I have to go it too, right? Like and sometimes being a bigger person sucks.
It's exhausting.
It's like, God damn it.
Again?
Right? And it's like, all right. But that's what happens when you're a person who builds fires. Like if you're a campfire builder, you got to go out and build the campfire. It doesn't matter what the weather is.
Doesn't matter what the weather is. Do you ever feel like you're like, I just want to have a shit day?
Yeah.
And I have to be on.
And sometimes I do.
Yeah.
And then I pull it together for that meeting, then I go back and go lay down.
Go lay down.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yes. I cannot tell you how many times I've closed my laptop and then just gone kerplop.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Or I go talk to my coach, or I have other intuitives that I work with, or I go to energy healing. Like, I have to take care of myself so that I can support other people.
Yes. I do think like in coaching, and I find this on the podcast too, like you take on other people's energies, or like you at least absorb it, not necessarily take it on, but, and try and do the best that you can with that and make them feel as confident, comfortable, etc. But yeah. I'm really curious. Tell me about like your sort of team of resources of support that you have to take care of you.
So after every call, I wash my hands. But one thing about me, I love paying people to tell them my business. Okay. I love it. So
I'm into that too.
So I have my own coach, and I talk to her every other week. For about 90 minutes.
Okay.
You know, I wouldn't hire a coach if they didn't have a coach.
Yeah.
Just like I wouldn't hire a therapist if they didn't have a therapist.
Yep.
I have an Akashic record reader. So I grew up with the context of spirituality and intuition and intuitives. So I do intuitive readings for my clients, but then I also do intuitive readings for myself. And I talk to her 90 minutes a month. I have an energy healer, which she literally charges me from the earth. Like, I feel like I'm back in my body because, you know, sometimes I like living in my head.
I can leave my body real quick.
Exactly. So I'm on Mary's table feeling like taking a supervised nap. And coming back to myself.
Yes. It's amazing. You're like, did I just fall asleep?
Yeah.
You have no idea, but like you feel dizzy. I don't know. It's amazing. It's like a sound bath. That's another one.
I feel more grounded, and then she just prays over me. It's just great. It's great.
Like, what a gift to have someone care for you and pray over you. And,
for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
And then I have like a massage therapist, and sometimes I'll do dry needling, you know, like.
Right. It's like seriously the dream team of support.
And even in my house, I have a ton of gadgets. Like I have an EMF frequency mat. I have a sauna blanket. I have a full body red light panel.
Wow. What do you do with that?
I lay under it.
Oh my God, it's amazing. Just absorb the goodness.
All of it. It helps with your muscles and cell turnovers and healing and just relaxation.
You have no idea what you've just done to my Amazon cart.
Let me tell you. Come over.
Can I take a field trip? And I'm just going to bring my phone and my credit card, and we're just going to fix it.
Yeah, my friends call it the neutralizing zone. And then sometimes I used to do yoga Thai therapy once a month too.
Yeah.
So she got me into putting sandbags. So my friends come over, I'll put like an eye mask on them. I heat up a whole mat, and then I just cover them with sandbags. And they just zen out. We call it the neutralizing zone.
It's like got to seriously ground you.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I'm coming over.
Yeah, come.
Okay.
You'll love it.
Okay. I'll come over if you come play tennis with me.
All right, it's done.
Deal.
It's done.
This is amazing. But I mean, seriously, for all the women listening, like those who are high performing, high functioning, like that, the best, highest value, because as you say, you can only meet people where you are, those who invest that kind of energy and level in themselves too.
Yes.
Which I think is like the really beautiful life lesson. I love that. I love that so much. Okay, let's get into the 5%. Now, do you mind just kind of quickly defining sort of, or setting that up? And then I love how you break it into a couple of different, or you kind of like deconstruct what it means to not be 5%.
So the background was that when I was working in corporate, someone told me that I was the most insincere HR person they had ever met.
Which is bonkers because you seem so genuinely sincere.
Well, I'm not the same person.
I
was then that I am now.
I get it.
And back then I was caught in this trap of 100% doing. So I would look at people who had the things that I wanted, like the promotions, the titles and things like that. And I would think, well, if I just did those things, I would have those positions, those titles, and then I could be the person I wanted to be. So we usually think that we need to do more. Well, let me do more so I can get the recognition, so I can get the praise. Let me sort of strap everything on my back. Like we think the highest good is something that we can carry on our shoulders.
Yes. It makes me think of your dimmer switch analogy again, too. You're just like pushing it up, forcing it up.
Exactly. So then I would go into a lot of comparison. Even before meetings, I would look at the list of people who are going to be there and be like, oh, let me come up with a question to ask or look good, right? Like all that stuff. And so the thing about doing is it's exhausting.
Yes.
That you could always do more. You don't really know like if the doing's paying off because you're usually burning the candle at both ends. So once I stopped, and once that woman told me that, it's like, oh crap, I'm doing all this stuff. But on the inside, my soundtrack is really I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. I need to work harder. I have to prove it. I have to earn it. Like that were the thoughts that would play in my head all the time.
Yep.
So outwardly, my movie was showing one thing, but my soundtrack was really one of just low confidence, low self-worth, and a lack of loving.
Yeah. When you talk about that 100% doing, and you make such a good point that like, there will always be more to do.
Yeah.
So like broadly speaking, you're setting yourself up, not you, rhetorical you, is setting yourself up for failure every single time. Because if you think, if I just do more, you will never meet that said milestone that you've set out for yourself.
You won't.
So you've set yourself up for disappointment, to feel like failure. And when I love how honest you are about the notion of comparison, like comparison is the death of joy. So like you go into this meeting and instead of being able to be present, I mean, we've all been that, to like scope out who's in the room, where am I going to get my voice heard? How am I going to look smart to this person?
Right.
I need to connect with this person because I'm working on this ladder situation over here, etc. And that takes away your presence. But it is truly how we've been conditioned.
Yeah.
And it is so hard to deprogram. But like, this notion of perfectionism, like if we think about the next generation, or if you think about anyone you're mentoring, or if I think about my children, like this, the thing that makes me the saddest if I think about my kids is this notion that they feel like they have to be perfect. That can like instantly make me feel so sad for them, because I suffered from that for so long that I don't think for so many of us, we feel like there was no way we could try harder, work harder.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't exist.
It doesn't.
You just gotta be you. But then you have to find you because it's buried under all those things you have strapped to your back.
Yes, it's true. It's so true.
Okay. So how did you undo your 100%, and where does 5% kind of play in?
So the thing about when you're in 100% doing is that we think we need to do more. So even when you do things like start a diet, you think change is going to be, I was this person on Tuesday, I have to be someone totally different on Wednesday. And that's a fallacy because it really is a practice. Just like leadership is a practice, growing yourself, learning to accept yourself is a practice. So 5% is really based on the financial rule of compound interest. It really is.
That's hot.
Right? It's like, so 5% is anything 5% more or less of a quality that you want to start to activate inside yourself. So during that time, I would think about, okay, Tarita, how could I give myself 5% more grace?
Yeah. Oof.
Right? For the perfectionist, how could I be 5% more accepting of myself? Yeah. How could I be 5% more loving of myself? Or better yet, what if I'm 5% less judgmental? Because if you suffer from perfectionism, you're very good at judging. You're very good at critiquing. So you critique yourself worse than anyone else does.
Yes, God, if people could hear our inner monologues, it's not safe to be out loud.
And usually it's, we usually treat ourselves on the inside how we objected to our caregivers having treated us.
Ooh, can you dive into that a little bit more?
So we treat ourselves on the inside how we objected to our caregivers having treated us. So if you had a parent that was very critical, you will internalize that voice and you will start to parent yourself in that way. Like sometimes we think that criticism is care.
Yeah, because that's all we've known from caregivers. Right. Okay.
And then when we are at work, we get feedback and people feel judged by us because they can't hear our concern, they hear our judgment. And so we want to slow that whole thing down and separate it. Yeah. So 5% is really, how can I each day just be 5% more loving or supportive to myself? Does that mean, I don't know, I eat lunch?
Yes.
Right?
Right. Which is so hard to do, but yes. Yes.
Right. Or I take care of my basic needs, or I don't go into over responsibility. Because I mean, it's okay to be responsible to someone, but at the point that you feel like you're responsible for people, especially at work or people in your life that aren't your kids, you're doing too much.
Right.
You're doing too much.
And in fact, you're trying to control them probably.
Yes. That's what's really underneath it. And controlling is really close to fear.
Yeah. It's 100% linked to fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, how can we just start to relax that?
Yeah.
And even pay attention to it. Like, what are you making that mean about you?
Yes. I love that notion of like, it feels so much less around behavior change. Really, truly does feel like you are turning the Titanic, right? Like, and to just do it 5% at a time. And like, what would that even feel like, to your point, to just be kind and give yourself lunch today. And honestly, even if it's ordering pizza, at least you fed yourself. And then the next 5% could be like, I don't know, something maybe that nourishes you a little bit more, whatever it may be. But like that notion of small, very manageable change, and like that concept of like thinking through what that would actually feel like. That is like one of the biggest parts of my healing practice, and like really about where I am right now is like when I think about my day, it is much less of what do I want to get done. It's how do I want to feel, and how do I want to feel doing those things that I have to do. So like being a single parent can often feel lonely and overwhelming.
Yeah.
But it is also like my greatest, I mean, like I am like a mama bear. I'm like, this is my greatest pride. I wouldn't change it. This is the greatest blessing of my life. But when I'm washing the dishes for the 4,000th time, I'm like, fuck this. And so I have to say to myself, like, put in some music, dance. I was like, how lucky are you that you have all these dishes to clean because you prayed for these children?
Yes.
And you are so fortunate that you can live in this house with this dishwasher and like all these things. I was like, girl, just enjoy it.
I love the ownership. I love the ownership.
It has been life-changing. And so I love this notion of like, but I am a recovering perfectionist. It's like, I'm going to start an anonymous group. But, you know, when I think about and I truly like, when I say my gym routine, there's so much to unpack there. Like I'm very happy with how I look. I mean, certainly I would change things about myself, but it's less about like, it's more like my version of healthy that I get like obsessed with. And then I'm like, wait a minute, what would 5% be? Like, what if I just went down and walked on the treadmill today? Cause I've been out of the house all day. And then we did this really fun podcast. Do I have it in me to like go lift for? No, but I could sure go walk on a treadmill and like listen to some good tunes.
Yes.
Is that what 5% feels like?
I think it's anything that's supportive to you and really meeting yourself where you are. Because sometimes we push our bodies further than they actually need to be. So I try to live more of a woman-centered life. Like I'm going to be lifting when I'm in my follicular phase, when I'm in my ovulatory phase, but luteal comes, I'm about to cool out.
You're like, I'm just climbing under my red light and putting some sand on for 2 weeks straight.
Exactly. I'm going to do a little bit of walk. I'm going to stretch a little bit, drink some water.
Yep. I love this.
I'm not a tiny man. I don't need to be a tiny man.
No. There's so much to unpack there. You're coming back for another episode on that one. But I really like, I cannot tell you, I've done so much work to really like unwind all the perfectionists and the people pleasing, but hearing you explain that 5% relative to the trap of 100% let so much air out of the balloon for me that you realize it habitually can creep back in. And so it was so refreshing to hear. So I was like, get on this show immediately. Okay. Tell me about the 4 C's. Hey, busy moms and aspiring entrepreneurs. If you want to learn how to build a high-income business in just 20 hours a week so you can enjoy more time with your kids, all while transforming yourself from overwhelmed to confident in just 90 days, then you need to check out my masterclass. I'm Betsy, a busy mom of 4 and a business coach obsessed with helping women just like you build thriving businesses that fit your life, not the other way around. After 20 years in marketing and building my own nonprofit and e-commerce business, I know exactly what it takes to go from overwhelmed to empowered. That's why I created my self-paced digital masterclass designed to help you move forward with clarity and confidence. So whether you're starting from scratch or recalibrating an existing business, my masterclass will take you from stuck and overwhelmed to simplified, organized, confident, and clear in your next steps. If you want to learn things like how to create a successful business that aligns with your personal life and brings you happiness, if you want to learn how to acquire the confidence and strategies needed to overcome self-doubt and thrive in your entrepreneurial journey, if you want to obtain the knowledge and tools to take control of your business finances with confidence, if you want to gain essential skills and strategies to effectively promote your business with confidence and ease, and if you want to discover practical strategies and systems to manage the challenges of entrepreneurship, then you should absolutely check out the 5-section self-paced digital masterclass from the Female Founders Academy. It's just $597, plus every course comes with free worksheets to guide you through. Learn on your own time, at your own pace, in the privacy of your home. So if you want to learn how to build a high-income business in just 20 hours a week so you can enjoy more time with your kids, all while transforming yourself from overwhelmed to confident in just 90 days, then visit writeyourownstory.co/FFA-courses or click the link in the show notes below.
Okay, so one thing that you want to have is curiosity. Basically, when you're changing, You want to start to be curious about yourself. Usually we're too busy judging and critiquing ourselves, and we aren't asking like, when's the first time I felt like I needed to be perfect in order to feel safe? Right?
Yeah.
Or questioning if there's a difference between excellence and perfection. Like, you just want to create more space to just be aware and ask questions.
Yeah.
You know, for me, it was like, I've had 3 bosses that have a lot of anger. Is it them or is it me? Like, what is going on over there? Right?
Yep.
And it was like, oh, wait a minute. This has a lot to do with me. So the first one's curiosity.
Yeah.
The second one is courage. Because to even ask those questions, you have to start to be a little courageous. You have to be willing to look at things you don't want to look at. You have to willing to be say the things that you don't want to say. And I think sometimes I even ask my clients, like, how do you create, enable, or support what you say you don't want? You may not have created it, but you enable it when you don't say anything. You support it when you don't speak up, right?
Yeah.
So you want to have, that's going to require some courage, and even just 5% more courage.
Yeah.
Courage to be seen. A lot of women fall into the trap of invisibility. Oh, I don't want to rock the boat. Well, it sometimes needs to be fucking rocked.
Stand up.
Yeah, stand up. So then choice, because these are all choices that you're making. Now, they may not be conscious at the time due to your pattern or your upbringing, but we want to bring more consciousness. Even if you're making a choice based on fear, I don't care. As long as you own the fact that you're afraid.
Yeah.
Right? Just say it. Yeah, this is just what I wanted. That's totally fine. But if we're going to be honest, let's be honest with ourselves.
Yeah. Ooh, and it feels like, don't you think people sort of historically think that saying your fears out loud is such a sign of weakness? But actually, like, to your point, I think it is so courageous.
Yeah.
And don't you feel like when you say your fear out loud, all of a sudden it takes away its power?
It does. It does. And you're like, oh, wait, I just made that whole shit up. Like, this is a whole story that I got, probably based off something I made up when I was 5. I'm worried I'm going to get in trouble. It's like back to the inner authority thing. Who's going to check you? What are they going to say? No, really, slow it down. What are they going to do?
So for your examples, when you're like, I've had 3 bosses that are full of anger, clearly you got hired for a role with a boss assigned. So it's not like you created the situation, but are you saying in this example, you had to work on your 5% of courage to speak up, or like, how did it relate to the stories? Yeah. So I had this one boss who, whatever he would say, it was like, if he said jump, I would be asking how high. Yeah. I would try to intuit his feelings before he even asked. I would think, does he like me? Is he disappointed in me? You know, it's like, I'm making this man my parent. Right? At any point that I feel like I have to emotionally manage or walk on eggshells around my boss, we got to slow this down. Right? Because I did that when I was younger, and it made sense because it actually was my parent. But now I don't need to do that. Right. And so I'm creating him as bigger than what he actually is. And I'm creating myself as smaller. Right? As a person who couldn't say, hey, can we talk about this? Because you yelling isn't working for me. Right. I do not respond well to that. I don't. So maybe I can't hear you through your yelling. So when you become a little less emotional, we can talk about it. Because I'm sure you have something worthy of saying. Exactly. But we got to wait till you're ready to try again. Right. Yeah. Yeah. Which takes balls to be able to say that. It does. But you know, looking back on it now, I could have totally done that. And I'm sure he would have been like, okay. Right. You know, but no one stood up to him, and everybody was complicit in it. Yep. Definitely. It is wild how, like, when that inner child stuff can come out and you find yourself in scenarios that relate to what it was like as a kid, all of a sudden you forget that you are free. You forget that you're an adult and that you have agency. Yes. But you're like, you're not a little kid who doesn't have choice in this situation. You've got all the choice. You've got all the degrees and the experience. You can just go trot right on over to somewhere else. You can tell them to stop. Like, but it's really hard to remember in those moments that are triggering, or even that are just maybe not like so overtly triggering, but creating similar scenarios to your point, to be able to sort of, as you mentioned, take a step back and check in with yourself and be curious with yourself and ask the questions, to be like, why have I not said anything? Exactly. Because, you know, if your best friend was being talked to like that, you'd be like, girl, you got to say something. Right. And when it's yourself, you're like, no. Totally. And I don't have to be so afraid. I can just say, hey, can we slow this down? I'm having a hard time with what you're saying right now. I can't hear you through your anger. Yeah. And I mean, the way you say that is so honest, but not like super emotional where like, I think sometimes women get nervous to speak up and say things like that because you're just going to get pigeonholed or painted as like, oh, she's an emotional woman.
Which is so funny because men are the most emotional, right? Yeah. Like if you look out in society, patriarchy has given us a lot of feelings. Y'all doing a lot of stuff that's pissing off a lot of people.
Right.
And you're out here being angry too.
Mm-hmm. I mean, talk about stirring the pot. Put it down, put the pot down. Oh my God. It's so true. I mean, I guess when you think about the patriarchy, when you think about society and leadership globally and some of like the greatest male leaders, it's like they have played on people's emotion and generated fear as a form of power.
Yes.
So all that
command and control. Right.
Which is all truly an emotional happenstance, like you're saying.
And it shows how small you are. It really does show how small you are.
Yeah, 100%. If you have, again, like if you feel like you need to control someone, what's going on in you?
Right. And you're out here throwing tantrums, throwing a whole tantrum, or doing what other kids do, shut down, not talking. I mean, I've had to coach people whose bosses don't speak to them. It's like, how much money is this person making?
Right.
Are you kidding me right now?
And aren't they being paid to talk to you?
Right. Right. And then it's awkward. And now you have to be the bigger person.
Yes.
To tell them, okay, wait, this is not about to work.
Which gets exhausting when you had to be the bigger person as a kid or, in a relationship. And now you got to go do it somewhere else. You're like, oh, for the love again.
Yeah, for sure. I want to bring us to the last point though. So last 4 was commitment.
Yeah.
Which is basically you committing to doing things that are going to uplift you. So I think that you are the catalyst for your own growth, for your own upliftment, and for your own development. So you want to see these experiences as happening for you, as opposed to you.
Love that. I absolutely love that. That's always a game changer. So recap our 4 C's for me again.
So curiosity, courage, choice, and commitment.
And those are sort of like the support pieces to that 5% notion.
For sure.
That moves it. It's like in that slow, steady pace that you're talking about where we need to slow up for a second.
Yeah, let's slow it down.
Yeah, let's slow it down. I love that. I love that so much. Oh, do you think like when you go to coach someone or you go to lead a workshop, is that sort of your basis is to really like identify the challenges and then just put the sandbag on it, if you will?
Oh,
and slow it down?
I never thought about it like that. So I like to get a sense of the listening that I'm speaking into. So I'll ask people to do pre-work. I'll ask them what they're celebrating, what's keeping them up at night. What's one conversation they know they need to have and they aren't having it? Because everybody has one.
Yes,
right?
Ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And then I'll share it. So I'll share it's all anonymous, but I'll say, so what are we noticing?
Yeah.
Because usually we're in this, I don't have enough time. I'm too busy for this. And when we're in that space, you're listening from that place, but you're also leading from that place too. And you're interacting with people from that place. So if we can start to get some collective awareness in the room of everyone's having a different inner experience, that's the first light bulb. Oh, we think it's just us. No, everyone's feeling stressed and overwhelmed.
Yes.
So let's just take a few deep breaths.
I love that. That is like one of the other really like important parts to me about this show is for everyone to realize that they are not alone.
Yes.
Everyone's got something.
Sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I love that. I've never thought about it as like, it almost like dials up the empathy and engages them in such a like grounded place. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Really.
And then we do processes where I'll put them in pairs and I'll teach them how to listen. Ooh. So if it's you and I, maybe you will share on a topic for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's uninterrupted. So people automatically start freaking out. It's like, I got to talk for 5 minutes about myself. Yeah. And this is the premise. Let's start getting a little bit uncomfortable. Where do you take your ball home before the games even start? Where do you give up before you, right? Where do you count yourself out? Where do you like to wear the cloak of invisibility? And then for the person who's listening, it's like, notice I said, listen. I didn't say fix. I didn't say manage. I didn't say give advice. I didn't say nod my head excessively. So you know that I'm listening to you. It's like all that stuff comes up too. And a lot of women say, well, I want them to know I'm with them. Who is that about?
Yeah.
Did they ask you for that?
Ooh, I don't know, but I feel that deeply. Yeah.
So it's like, okay, let's really, because it's so rare that people feel fully seen and heard.
Yeah.
Because we start to interrupt them. And Nancy Klein talks about how we're pretty much murdering their thoughts. It's like, who's to say that what you have to say is more important than their next thought?
No, but then like, I love that notion. I feel like so many women, and I'm definitely one of these women where I'm like, I just want you to know, I want to validate your experience by basically saying what you said back to you. Like, I heard you.
Yeah.
But yeah, why? What's that about?
But your loving presence,
Hmm.
your attention
Hmm.
is validating.
Yeah.
You just being there, not doing anything is validating.
That's so refreshing. It again goes back to this whole notion of just like slowing it down.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be like a Nerf gun blaster of thoughts.
It doesn't.
Yeah.
We could actually do less and be so much more powerful.
That is my full mantra for this phase of my life, is like, truly, you do more by doing less.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's so refreshing.
My mantra is, my shit is beyond together. That's what I'm going for. My shit is beyond together.
I have no doubt that your shit is beyond together. That's amazing. That's really amazing. What are your thoughts? This is totally random, so sorry I didn't give you a heads up on this one, but this notion of like feminine energy and masculine energy, and as it relates to the work that you do.
I think we all have feminine and masculine energy in us. And I do think that on the planet, we have an overabundance of masculine energy, which is kind of how we've gotten ourselves here now. But I also think now is such a great time that women are waking up and women are coming more into their power, and they're realizing who they are, and that feminine energy is a godsend. It's wonderful. Even when you look at leadership, all the qualities of a leader are very feminine qualities. And so it's us to recognize that and see the value in it. Because like I said before, I'm not a tiny fucking man.
No.
I don't want to be a tiny man.
No.
Yeah.
I also don't need to feel like the biggest man in the room either.
No.
I did an episode on feminine energy because this is an area that I'm just so curious about, and I've done a lot of exploration on my own. And I was doing some research as it related to sort of the corporate world, and that so many women are finding that they've got like the quote unquote seat at the table that they've been vying for. And they get there and they feel so detached from who they are and their intuition and their sort of like feminine leadership skills. They're like, I had to play the part to get here. I've certainly earned it. But then they're like, I feel so disconnected from myself. And
it makes you sick.
Yeah.
Yes.
Makes you sick. Genuinely unhappy.
Yep.
And so I think, allowing yourself like this. So this year, my sort of like, I haven't really figured out the verbiage around the mantra, but truly to lead more from my feminine energy and to lean into that more often, because I have just kind of been conditioned to be more masculine and leadershipy, and like, but it is amazing how much still gets done when you do less.
It does.
My mantra is, it all works out. It honest to God, it always does. It always does. No matter what, it all works out.
Yep. Yep. To me, I want to be a soft place to land for myself.
That's beautiful.
And that's what being in my feminine means to me. Where am I on my team? I'm not against myself. I'm not being too hard on myself. Like I'm calling in divine mother for me, right?
Yeah.
So that's how I feel.
Sharing that back out. Well, I guess it's still for you, but like radiating that. Yeah. Don't you feel like that's a natural expression of you?
Of course.
I feel that. Like I was trying to, when you feel like your most self, like most in flow, you feel this radiant energy. That sounds so cheesy, but you feel like the energy shifts in the room from all of us. And that's like the beauty of it. And I find this whole topic so fascinating for someone who's grown up a corporate girl, who has been an athlete, like who has just done so much from like a traditionally masculine place, to the point where I was like, I am sick. Like this no longer fits. I don't fit in this box anymore.
Yes.
And I can't unsee it anymore. Yes. But it is also like you said, it's this self-discovery that is often uncomfortable, but in like the greatest way.
It serves. It really does.
I love this. Okay. So outside of the pivot of like, obviously having this really like challenging situation at work and finding this coach and putting on this great professional trajectory, have there been any other pivots in your life that come to mind that really have either happened to you or you've made happen that truly have like changed the trajectory of your life, whether big or small? Are you like me and taking at least an hour to plan your meals every week and then to grocery shop on top, only to find out that I throw away half of it because I didn't have it in me to season and chop and prep night after night? It's so embarrassing and I feel awful about it. Are you also like me and worry about if any of the things I buy are healthy enough for me and the family? Well, let me tell you about Hungry Root. Hungry Root is my partner for healthy living. Hungry Root helps me save time, save money, I shop sustainably, and I eat what makes me feel my absolute best. Their mission is to make it easier for more people to eat healthy and feel great every day. Some of my very favorite aspects of Hungry Root are healthy meals in 10 minutes or less. I mean it. No chopping, no seasoning ever. They do it all for you. Honestly, full stop. This is my very, very favorite thing. Every meal is so easy to put together. Often they have steamer bags for vegetables and all sorts of great microwave options too. They also give you healthy snacks and pantry supplies my kids and I both love. They're whole, trusted ingredients, which makes me feel like a great mom because I actually know that I'm putting good things in the pantry and in the fridge. Personalized recommendations based on your goals. Mine is heart healthy, and it ships to me on my schedule. The best part is also less food waste. No more throwing food out each week, which feels amazing. All you have to do is take their super simple quiz and share your preferences, goals, must-haves, and they'll recommend a plan for you and just fill your fridge with food you love. You could be like me and let them surprise you with meals each week, or you can go in and adjust each week before they actually send it to you. And let me tell you, they love your feedback. This is the one thing I actually do. I'll go in there and I'll tell them to send me more of a certain meal or less of a certain snack because we didn't really care for it. One simple click and your order is adjusted. Hungry Root is so much more than a meal kit. They send full-size groceries, which is so much better than pre-portioned package you get with your meal kits. Honestly, couldn't be happier. Use your code WriteYourOwnStory40 for 40% off your first delivery plus a free gift for life. Use code WriteYourOwnStory40 or just click the link in the show notes for 40% off your first delivery plus a free gift for life. 40% off is huge. The free gift for life promotion is a choice of free cookie dough for life, free veggies for life, or free protein for life. For life means the length of your subscription. Honestly, guys, I love Hungry Root so much. It saves my butt every single week, and I could not recommend it enough. Don't forget, use the code WriteYourOwnStory40 or just click the link in the show notes.
In 2020, I had a relative that basically struggled with sobriety and overdosed. And I took on a caregiver role. And I talk about 100% doing. I thought that oh, this is something you get cleared up in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It was like, this is going to be fine. We just got to go do a few classes.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what addiction and sobriety actually meant. I didn't know what that involved. It was, I will tell you, it was one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And it was one of the most profoundly healing experiences I've ever had.
Ooh,
it
how?
gave me, one, to just be in that position to help someone on their journey was hard.
Yeah.
Because it was triggering a whole bunch of my childhood stuff. And now it's like, oh my God, my childhood is living in the house with me. And I didn't know.
Here we are again.
Here we are. And I am living with a teenager. And it would be something as simple as can you wash the dishes? And they would be like, you want me to wash the dishes? What do you mean? And I would be thinking, I just gave up my whole life for this. And, and it was so funny. I was on the phone with my coach and she's like, so you move this person in so that they can learn to work on themselves, to heal themselves, and to use their own voice. And then they use their voice and you get mad about it. And she said, what was it like for you growing up? Could you tell people what you were going to do and what you weren't going to do? And I was like, hell no. So is it really about her, or is it about high school Tarita, who felt like people weren't listening to her? It was like, God damn it. But I want to be clear. It wasn't like you can't wash the dishes.
Yep.
It's like, it's fine to emote. I really hear that this is annoying for you. And to be in my house, you don't have to wash these dishes.
Yeah, I hear you.
So I'll see you later. It doesn't have to create such a event inside of me.
Yes.
And I think that's where you want to get curious about, what the hell is going on over here?
I have never heard it described as an event inside of me, but that is perfect.
Yeah.
That's what triggers feel like. If sometimes it feels like a volcanic explosion.
It does.
But it is an event.
Yes.
It is calendared.
Yes.
It
does. And we think it's the other person, but they're really pushing up against something that was already inside of us. It was a wound that was there.
Yes.
That they didn't cause, but they're like, it's like, oh, wait, this is. So basically, I reached a level of emotional maturity and depth that I didn't know was possible because, baby, it was a fucking roller coaster.
I can only
but
imagine.
also, my clients are like, oh, my dad was an alcoholic or X. It's just like, You have no idea how many people suffer with addiction or have qualifiers, especially like Gen X. Gen X, like, my God, it's a lot of people who had a whole bunch of parents who were out here just every time they elbow bent, their mouth opened.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. It's great. Well, because they had like absolutely no emotional skills.
No.
So they were like, the only thing
coping.
The only thing that makes me feel better is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
And I just felt like it gave me a level of range and depth where when I first started coaching, things like this would completely take me out. And I didn't have a sense of inner resourcefulness to really hang in a conversation.
That is so honest and so fair. And like, I feel like for anyone out there who is feeling that like, that weight of being like, oh shit, what have I gotten myself into? Or like, why is this so hard? I feel stuck. Like, one of the greatest sayings that gives me such solace, now we all know those moments where transformation is about to happen. Because you're like, shit, this is going to be another one.
It has to fall apart to come together.
And I remind myself always, I'm like, you have not been buried, you've been planted. And you just have to give it time. And like, because it does all work out. You do surface again, you do grow from this. Like, I mean, you do have to do the work. But like now I'm like, I would like to stop being planted so much.
Well, for me, it's even making me think about partnership because I'm dating. Yeah. And it's like, oh, this person, do they have inner resourcefulness? Can they manage when times are hard? Or do they just completely crash out
and shut down?
And they don't, is this the person I want to be with when my mom dies?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Are they going to be able to, can I take them with me on that journey?
Yeah. Can they hold space and not try and fix it? Yes. 100%.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that is one of the challenges of dating at the ages that we're dating at, because I'm dating as well, is that everyone, myself very much included, comes with baggage. Life is lifed. And it's so it's a matter of, it's not like we're like young teenagers or in our 20s and think we know everything, but we literally know nothing. Like, we come seasoned. Yes. And there's a lot to, I don't know.
I like a little bit of seasoning though, especially if it tastes good.
Yeah. You're like, you like it spicy. If anyone out there is listening, she likes it spicy.
I do. I do.
Own it, girl. I love this so much. Also, we're coming back for a third episode on dating. Thank you. Thank you. You're booked. Oh my God, it's so funny. Okay. Let's see. Time check. I'm looking at your phone. Sorry, because mine is now recording for. Okay. I get one more question.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
What do you wish women talked more openly about?
I think it would be helpful if women talked more openly about what the fuck was going on in their life. Honestly. Because I think that women put up with a lot of bullshit.
And why do you think we put up with so much bullshit?
Internalized patriarchy, a ton of stuff, self-suppression, fear, internalized capitalism. Like anytime that you feel you have to overly manage yourself to fit in, I want women to go back to that moment when they were born and see the brilliant and excellence and beautiful, loving being that they are. Because you chose to be on the planet at this time for a reason. And you getting closer to your innate gifts and talents helps the world.
Truly.
And that you don't need to shrink yourself to make someone comfortable. If you have to do that, they aren't the person for you.
Yeah, truly. And when I think about, discovering our gifts that we've buried so deeply, and I think about the next generation behind us, like if we don't uncover that about ourselves, or at least go through the journey to try, then we are suppressing the whole next generations of gifts, teaching them that this is what women do.
Right.
Which no mas.
Right. You get to create your own sense of what a woman is.
Yeah. Yeah. Truly.
It's the inner authority.
So that, like, ladies, talk about your shit. It's okay. We can all handle it.
We can handle
it. And like, we all can get to that place too, where it's like, do you want me to listen? Do you want me to help fix it? Or do you want me to just validate your feelings?
Do you want me to hear you, help you, or handle it?
I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It's so hard not to just handle it, because those you love, I don't know about you, but I get really protective. So I'm like, I will handle it.
But we need them to do it.
Totally.
Because if they'll do it once, they'll do it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, so some of what we're talking about is what I'll be doing or teaching at Advanced Leadership for Women.
Okay. Tell us all about Advanced Leadership.
So in August, this is my 4th year doing this. I host a workshop that's a day and a half in Cincinnati. Now, the premise of the day is pretty radical.
Yeah.
It's that leaders grow leaders. And what if work, the place that you spend the most amount of time, could be a place of healing and growth?
Mm.
What if everything happening to you in your professional life was for you?
100%.
What if it's an invitation for you to shift? So we ask women, are you a soft place to land for yourself? Or are you your biggest critic? We also ask them, if you were the biggest, boldest, most fearless person that you wanted to be, what are you afraid was going to happen? Because we usually think if we get too big, people won't like us. It's going to ruin relationships. It's going to be X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
Those are stories that you've created.
How do you debunk those myths?
Yeah, that's what we're going to be working on.
Okay. Cliffhanger.
We're going to start by giving people permission slips. I will say it's a very loving environment. So when you walk in, you're going to see tissue boxes.
Yeah.
Crying's not a requirement, but we don't judge tears just like we don't judge laughing.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
I think if you want to come and have a shift, you want to be in the room with us.
Damn.
For sure. You should come.
Okay.
Come.
Remind us when the date is.
It's August 21st to August 22nd. It's a day and a half.
Okay.
And it's a music hall.
Oh, beautiful.
And we feed you. The food is I like to eat. So the food is bomb.
Okay.
The girls are going to be there.
Yeah.
I have a whole slew of women I call like little fairies and angels who are going to help support you in a really healing container. And we get to work. So we teach you how to listen. We teach you how to observe. We teach you how to share from a place that's really open-hearted and compassionate. And we teach tools like compassionate self-forgiveness.
Oof. I think all women could really use a dose of that. God, that sounds absolutely beautiful. Okay. So now that everyone is like picking up their phone, ready to sign up, how do we sign up for it?
Oh, you can go to my website, taritapreston.com /women.
/women. Hell yes, /women.
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah.
Okay. Where else can people find you to just get more of your teaching, your energy?
Oh my gosh.
All of the things
so I'm on LinkedIn, but I'm an Instagram girly.
Same
I'm an Instagram girl.
Same.
I'm posting outfits. I'm talking about consciousness, and I'm having an emotional support matcha. It's like
fine.
The highlight of my day.
It's like a dream account. I'm sorry. I will be putting you on notification. Thank you. It's amazing. Okay, what's your handle?
Tarita Preston.
Easy.
Super easy.
Amazing. Okay, and we will tag you and link you in the show notes and all of these things. If people want to work with you one-on-one for coaching, whether it be professionally or personally, that was really hard to get out. Do we go to your website?
Yeah, just go to my website. There's a link in there. You can just fill out the form.
Link for everything.
And we'll chat.
This has been
for sure.
Absolutely delightful.
I loved it.
I can't wait. I'm like going to go. I have to upload it for my amazing producer, but I'm going to like play it out loud because I want to hear it all again immediately and like write things down. I truly, truly enjoyed this. Abby, thank you.
Thank you, Abby. I can't wait to go play tennis
I know. We're going to have so much fun. Dun, dun, dun. Welcome to the team.
Dun, 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 dun.
This has been an absolute pleasure. I know there have been so many moments in this episode that people have gasped for light bulb energy. So thank you for sharing your wisdom. Everyone share this episode because, so many women would benefit from this just beautiful perspective and tutelage. I think this one is going to be one that like people will play over and over. I know I certainly will. So thank you for everything.
It has been such a blessing. Thank you.
You're so very welcome. All right, you guys. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you next time.
Bye.
Bye. Well, that's the end of this episode, but promise me, you won't stop here with whatever it is you're feeling or dreaming about. I hope you leave today feeling empowered to live life just as you see fit. If this podcast was helpful to you, it would mean the world to me if you could leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. I genuinely just want to help women live the life they dream about. So if this type of content tracks with you, subscribe to this podcast or visit our website, writeyourownsstory.co, to download digital courses or to grab a journal and a mug to just dream in and dream with. It's your life, lady. Do you. And just remember, I'm rooting for you and you've totally got this.